The other day I was talking to one of my friends and Rick and Morty came up, and it's the first time I've thought about the show in a really long time, even though it used to be one of my favorite shows. I still remember when I was in 6th grade, coming home from school and getting ready to watch the Citadel of Rick's episode, or the episode where we learned more about Evil Morty in Season 3. And I remember at this time thinking the show was just probably the best cartoon I had ever seen. I hadn't revisited shows like Adventure Time and hadn't watched Gravity Falls yet, and it was an adult cartoon, and I think that played a factor because of my age at the time. But I just truly think that this show really could have been something special and could have been looked back upon as the greatest show of its generation, and I think it's a missed opportunity. Now, there are certain shows that have their time, and I feel like Rick and Morty definitely had its time with probably around the early 2010s to maybe 2014-15 time period. And I feel like right now that show is probably Smiling Friends that kind of like actually has a grip on the culture. I think it's really hard to make a cartoon that has such a grasp of sort of reality at the time because there's so many moving parts and so many things have to happen for the episodes to actually get put out that it's really hard to kind of be current with stuff like that. But I feel like Rick and Morty was at a time, and I feel like it's definitely lost that. Now, the first thing I can think of that has kind of made this go away, I think, is the fact that the creators of the show, Justin Roiland and Dan Harmon — Justin Roiland doesn't even work on the show anymore, I'm not sure about Dan Harmon, but they had this attitude that they wanted the show just to kind of be a silly show. And I understand that because around the mid-2010s, there was this kind of like Redditor attitude or whatever that like, oh, you have to be smart to watch Rick and Morty, and they acknowledged that that was stupid and kind of people having their superiority complexes or whatever about that was a whole joke at the time. And I think they kind of took this to heart and decided to go the exact opposite direction with it, because I think it ended up in them not continuing plot lines that would have been really cool to see more of. I don't even know what happened with Evil Morty because I haven't watched the show since around season 4, and I used to be ready to go every episode, season 2 and 3 when they were coming out. But I remember around the end of season 3, I was super excited for season 4 because I wanted to see what was going to happen with that plot line and that story. And there were other stories too. There was the stuff with Beth and is she a clone, is she not a clone? And I just think they could have handled all that so much better, and it could have led to it just being so interesting. And when I think about other shows, specifically Gravity Falls did a super good job of, it's really not much filler, it's 2 seasons. And I think that's part of what makes it so great, is it keeps you engaged the whole way through, and it drops these hints and then they deliver an episode or 2 later. It's not like with Rick and Morty, I felt like, they drop something and then 3 years later it would come back and it would not even be in like the right way. It wouldn't be like proper continuity and all that, and it was really frustrating to watch, I felt like, when I did watch it. I guess my wish for the show was just that it did actually take itself more seriously despite all the jokes about it, because I feel like it was funnier, honestly, the more it looked into these slightly more serious topics and stuff. Like that episode at the Citadel like touches on some real shit that actually applies to us in the Western world and real life and all that. And also, I personally just feel like it got less funny. I don't know if that's me getting older or it actually did get less funny. Probably a combination of both, but that's just how I felt when I watched season 4 or 5. Anyways, I have a certain level of nostalgia for this show just because I felt like it was one of the last worlds that I kind of escaped to in terms of media, just video games, TV shows, whatever it is. I felt like it was a really, really good escape for me at the time, and I was just super invested in it, and I'm sad that I don't get to kind of look back and feel like it had the proper ending. Anyways, that's the end of this video. Again, I haven't watched since around season 4 or 5, so I don't know, maybe they turned it around, but I really honestly don't think they have. That's it. And I'm done.